Welcome to our presentation on wellbeing and staying connected. My name is Jack and I work in the Education Liaison and Outreach Department here at Middlesex. And today with us we have Vanessa White, who is the Student Wellbeing Coordinator. Who'll be here to answer any questions about anything to do with Middlesex, basically. So, in today's session, we'll be covering what we mean by keeping well and your wellbeing, as well as the prevention of ill health. We'll be discussing what self-care is and what self-care might work well for you. And we'll also be talking about what you can do to keep yourself well as an MDX student, from the quite basic and subtle things to the sort of bigger things as well. And we'll also be discussing this in light of COVID-19. And then we'll start discussing how you can stay connected. And we'll begin talking about some apps that we have here at Middlesex called Fika, the Big White Wall, and some other useful links as well. So what do we mean by keeping well? Well, we've identified 5 key factors that really sort of influence how you can, how well you're keeping, basically. The first one, and perhaps the most obvious, is your health. Is what most people think of when they think of whether they're well or not. And obviously, health is a really important thing, especially once you get to university. But your leisure time and activities as well. For a lot of people, it's the first time they're in charge of their own time. They find it quite hard to fit in their leisure time and activities. So making sure you're still doing these can really help you keep well. The studies as well, the key reason people go to university, really, isn't it? So how are you getting on with these? How are you feeling about your assignments? Are you staying on top of your deadlines? You're starting to feel a bit swamped, and your studies can really affect how you feel as well. Your identity and community is another big thing. Whether you're moving away from home or not for university, it can play a huge role on your well-being. And then your career and employment prospects as well. And this doesn't have to be sort of once you've graduated. This can be a part-time job while you study or anything like that. Can all affect how well you're feeling. So we'd like to focus here on prevention being better than a cure. It's really important that everyone remembers that you can experience good well-being even if you have a mental ill health diagnosis, and you can experience poor well-being even if you have no mental ill health diagnosis at all. Your well-being is really broad and it's affected by many things, including your diet, your sleep, living conditions, your studies, relationships, your activity levels, and many more things. And I think we've got a really nice quote from Mind, the mental health charity here, which says self-care techniques and general lifestyle changes can help manage the symptoms of many mental health problems. They may also help prevent some problems from developing or getting worse. I think that's really worth remembering sometimes. So what is self-care? Self-care is different to every person. And something that works for you might not work for other people, and that's completely fine. We've got a few examples here of what it could be. So it could be from taking a step back, starting to ask for help, spending some time alone, or just putting yourself first. It doesn't have to be something big. It can be saying no, spending some time to yourself, staying at home, or just setting a few boundaries. Anything like that, just to spend a bit of time to yourself, a bit of time sort of thinking about what it is you want to do, and not necessarily doing things you feel forced into doing. Can all help you take a bit of self-care of yourself. They don't have to be big changes. It can just be a little decision, but it can really help you feel better in yourself. So what can you do to keep yourself well at university? Well, the first bit of advice we give anyone registering with any university is to register with a GP close to your term time address. This is important because even if you're going to get ill throughout the year, you don't want to have to worry about it. So we really recommend people doing that during freshers if possible. It's quite a simple job, literally just Googling GP near me once you're in your term time address or on your campus and finding a local doctor's. Again, find what self-care looks like for you. As we've seen on the last slide, it's different for everyone. Just try and find a method that works well for you. Keep moving as well. As I said before, a bit of exercise can really help, even if it's at the end of a lecture, just a 10-20 minute walk, get yourself outside, get your body active as well. Keep connected is something we'll come to later, but especially during COVID, while we're sort of our normal routines are being affected, staying connected to people you love, family and friends, can really help you sort of feel normal almost, really help you a sense of normality. Reach out to us as well, and it's not just us at Middlesex. Whichever university you go to, there are so many student support and wellbeing teams who are literally there to help. And don't forget that when you're at university, it can feel quite isolating, especially when you move somewhere new without friends. The university is there to help. Keep in mind your purpose as well. Remember that you're at university for a reason. You know that you wanted to do that course, and bear in mind your passion. Whether you're passionate about the course, passionate about a career you might be leading towards, or just passionate about a specific part of the subject, you've got to try and keep yourself sort of motivated no matter what's going on if possible. And again, Fika and the big white wall, we will touch on a bit later on. More generally, how can you keep yourself well? Screen fatigue is a big thing that I found myself noticing during lockdown, because the evenings would come in and with nothing else to do, I'd just be sat on my phone for the whole evening. And this can really start to affect how you're feeling. And that's really closely linked to limiting your time on social media if possible. So I'd really recommend sort of being aware of how long you're spending behind a screen, even if it means just going for a short walk, reading a book, or just getting a laptop out of the way or getting your phone down. And also don't focus on what you can't control. Everyone is going through this at the moment. No one can do anything about it. Try to focus on sort of smaller, more manageable things, and don't worry about the bigger stuff that you have no effect on at all. Some more tips here. Again, acknowledge that we're all living in very uncertain and challenging times, and we're all going through it together. Be aware of imposter syndrome as well. In particular this year, when maybe you haven't done your final exams or something like that, it's really important to remember that absolutely everyone at university deserves to be there as much as anybody else. Isolation could also be a challenge, so again, take some steps to stay connected. We'll have some more tips on staying connected shortly. If you're seeking employment, whether this be graduate, part-time, full-time, an internship or anything, make use of us at MDX Works. We have a dedicated team of people just there to help you find a job while at university. And remember, you're now a part of Team MDX. You're welcome, included, and valued as well. So, yeah. How can you stay connected? So again, we've got those apps that we'll come on to in a minute. If you're staying in MDX halls, take part in the events organised by your resident assistants. This can be anything from a sort of social night, a little tour of the local area, to just even a night together where people are chatting. It's a really great way to get to know people living around you, and the resident assistants are there to help you throughout your year as well. Join your course, accommodation or year social media groups on Facebook or WhatsApp. I know there's a Middlesex Freshers 2020 page at the moment that's on Facebook, and this can be a really great way for you to meet some course mates or meet some people who might be living near you. Also might be able to find some future housemates or something through there. And it's really nice to get that interaction going before you start at university. Follow the university on their social media channels. Just another great way to keep up to date with what's going on across the university, any events you might be interested in joining. And check out the student unions, societies and groups as well, where you might be able to meet some like-minded people. You might even be able to find a new hobby or interest as well. Say yes more is my favourite tip to anyone joining university. Just so you've got a lot going on, you don't miss anything that you might enjoy and things like that. And a key thing, if you're moving away from friends, try to agree how often you're staying in contact, because when you start to feel like you've been ignored, that's when it starts to become a problem. If you can try and agree before you go, or maybe a 20-minute slot that you might try and chat to each other and stay up to date, that can really help sort of maintain those relationships. And also remember that it's okay to take time out. It's okay to not answer the phone. It's okay to want an evening to yourself. That's fine too. So why is staying connected important, especially as going to uni? Maintaining healthy relationships with people you trust is important to your mental well-being, and it's important to theirs as well. You've got to remember that reaching out to others can help them as well as yourself. The value of a sort of 10-minute phone call with a friend you haven't spoken to for a while can be really helpful, and you never know what anyone else is sort of going through as well. They might want to speak to you as much as you want to speak to them. And some top tips for this is not everything has to be a long pre-planned conversation. You don't have to sit on the phone for 2 hours a day with all your friends. You can just pick up the phone, have a 5-minute catch up with people. And alternatively, wanting time to yourself is okay as well. You don't always have to answer the phone. You don't always have to be on your phone. You can take time to yourself. And try and find new ways to celebrate. Me and my friends started doing virtual pub quizzes for birthdays when we couldn't get to the pub. I know things are opening up a bit now, but still really nice, especially if you're all going to be moving away from home to go to university. Try and find these new virtual ways to celebrate happy occasions. So my top tips for maintaining your well-being are just don't do too much at once. Try to set small, achievable targets, and don't focus on things you can't change, because that are just sort of, that's when things start to sort of panic and you start to stress about things that you literally can't do anything about. Don't tell yourself that you're all alone, and try to remember that everyone is going through exactly the same thing at the moment. And I'll hand over to Vanessa to introduce Fika.
Thank you, Jack. What an excellent introduction to sort of keeping well as a new student. So in terms of what we have available at Middlesex University specifically, so we've mentioned these two platforms, Fika and Big White Wall, already. We have actually in the last week invested in a couple more online platforms and resources available to you. One is an online mental health training platform, and one is a comprehensive student health guide magazine, which both of which will be available on our website very soon. But in terms of Fika, so Fika is a mental fitness app. And what that means is that the team at Fika see your mental health and your mental fitness in exactly the same way as your physical health and your physical fitness. So in the same way that after work today, I'm going to go out for a walk and get some fresh air and stretch my legs a little bit, because I've been sitting at the screen all day and suffering a little bit from screen fatigue, which Jack mentioned earlier. The team at Fika see your mental health and your mental fitness in the same way. So along with my walk this afternoon to sort of work on my physical fitness, I might also do one of the workouts on the app to work on my mental fitness. So we've got two videos here. On the left we have Nick from Fika, and on the right we have Lauren from Fika, and they're going to introduce to us a little bit more what the app is about, the concept behind it, and hopefully once you join Middlesex, how you can download it.
Hello, my name is Nick and I'm your personal trainer for mental fitness today. You have personal trainers in mental fitness much like you'd expect in physical fitness. And the reason for that is to help you really focus on the exercise properly and really get the benefit from mental exercising. So let's start here. What is mental fitness? So mental fitness is about developing your ability to regulate and manage your thoughts and emotions so that you can always act in a positive way no matter your circumstances and despite what life throws at you. So just pause and think about that for a moment. Think about all the challenges in your life and all the things that you come across in your day-to-day life and work and study. And think about being able to always react in a positive way to drive your life forward. So that feels really important, right? But let's look at science. What does science tell us? Science tells us that it's really important to be an optimist and to develop mental fitness. Mental fitness and an optimistic mindset are really closely aligned. And it's been proven in science that an optimistic mindset is aligned to reducing heart attacks by 35%. That alone should be enough to start a mental fitness routine in your life. But let's think about how it fits into your life. So by developing mental fitness, what you start to do is you start to develop new skills and build skills and develop skills around confidence, develop skills around communication that allows you to communicate better. You communicate more clearly around your agenda and what you're after in your life. And critically what it does is it starts to allow you to make better choices, better lifestyle choices, become more healthy, choose better things for yourself, for your friends and for your family. And what that does is it means it builds more connections into your life, and that in turn brings better relationships and better relationship management into your life. So it's really important to remember that mental fitness isn't just about you, it's about you and the people that you care about around you. So we've covered what it is, we've covered why it's really important to ourselves and to the people that we care about. So how do we get it? So think about mental fitness in the same way you think about physical fitness. It's about creating a new routine in your life. It's about inserting 5-minute exercises into your daily routine at some point. And by doing that on a regular basis, that's how you build your mental fitness. And much like the physical health spectrum, there's muscle groups. So in mental fitness, we have 7 key muscle groups that you need to work on. And they are stress, focus, positivity, connection, confidence, motivation, and meaning. And as you start to work on those 7 skills and develop those 7 muscle groups, you start to work your way towards mental fitness and that optimistic mindset that we're after. And fitting in those 5-minute exercises can be done at any point in the day. And the Fika app is full of those exercises. All our courses designed by psychologists and technologists have been worked on, and we've been developing them for over 2 years now to get them to a point where we've proven that 18 of those exercises, 5-minute exercises, can set you high up on your path towards mental fitness and that optimistic mindset.
So you've heard about mental fitness from Nick and all the benefits, the science behind it, and why it's so good for you. So hopefully the question that you're asking now is, how do I get access to Fika and to start working on mental fitness? So the answer is you can download the app easily. And the great news is that Middlesex are a partner of Fika. Therefore, all you need to do is go to the App Store and download the Fika app for free. and register, and make sure you use your Middlesex University email address to start accessing all of the programs and courses on the Fika app. In terms of what to do after that, I would really recommend start having a look at the 7 skills and start having a look at the daily community and really build in mental fitness to your everyday routine before your course starts.
Fab, there we go. So that was an introduction to Fika from Nick and Lauren at Fika. I've only just realised actually how the text on their t-shirts is different. Nick's is the right way around and Lauren's isn't for some reason. But there we go. Hopefully that gave you a good sort of introduction into how we view mental health and mental fitness at Middlesex, and how happy we are to have the Fika app on board and available for all of our students. So I believe on the next slide, I'm going to just run through Big White Wall. So Big White Wall is another platform which we have available to all students and staff, I should say as well, actually. So where Fika kind of offers students sort of short, snappy exercises. So you'll have heard Nick talk about these 5-minute workouts that you can do on the app. Big White Wall is a little bit more in-depth. So on Big White Wall, one of the main draws is that there's a big community element on there. So if you've got something on your mind, something that's worrying you, you can go on and you can post about it, and other people who use the platform will be able to offer you tips and advice. It's all completely anonymous, I should say, on both Fika and Big White Wall. So you don't have to worry about kind of posting anything identifiable. And other people are able to offer you support and advice. You can see there that it's moderated 24/7 by what we call wall guides, and they're effectively mental health professionals. You can take a number of self-help courses, and there are all sorts on all variety of topics. You'll have heard Jack at the beginning talk about how broad well-being and mental health is, and you know the number of self-help courses on Big White Wall are testament to that. So there are courses right the way through from what's a healthy relationship to help, I'm procrastinating, I can't get on with my studies, to I'm feeling anxious, I'm feeling low, all those sorts of things, and everything in between really. So there's lots of support on there. Part of the platform, you can also log in and set yourself goals. You can monitor your progress. So it's a really good tool to sort of to work on your own self-care. And lots of students and staff use both Fika and Big White Wall as part of their sort of what we call self-care toolkit. So a little bit about the support services that we have at Middlesex. So I could chat for probably about a whole hour on all of the different support that we have available at the university. I won't, because I'll bore you all, and Jack will tell me off for going over time. So this is just a snapshot of what we have available for you. And really the take-home message that we'd really like you to go away from is that if you come to Middlesex, you're going to be supported. We have lots of support services in place, as well as all sorts of self-care and proactive resources which you can use yourself to sort of keep yourself well. So the first one there, Uni Help, is our first port of call for all sorts of student inquiries. So if you don't know where to go, you have a query, you don't know who's going to help you with it, Uni Help will sort you out. Either they'll be able to manage your query and resolve it for you, or they'll signpost you to the appropriate team. If you are struggling with your mental health, or you feel like you may start to struggle, our counselling and mental health team are available to support you. So the team is made up of counsellors and therapists, and at the minute, I should say, all of these teams are working remotely in line with government guidelines, and that will continue to change as the COVID-19 situation progresses. The Disability and Dyslexia Service is available to support any student who has a disability or a long-term health condition. And sometimes the word disability is a little bit tricky, because it may be that you feel that you have a health condition, but you don't feel like you have a disability. That's okay. You know, the team can support you with anything health-wise that's getting in the way of your studies, and that includes a mental ill health condition. So if you have a diagnosis of anxiety or depression, let's say, just using those as they're two of the most common ones, the Disability and Dyslexia team will be able to support you, along with the Access Centre, which we've got there. And that's to put a support package in place. So if you get really anxious around exams, or if you need some extra time, things like that, those teams together will be able to support you. Progression and support team, it kind of says it in the name. So that team can support you through your studies. So if your circumstances change while you're on your course, say you've started full-time, you need to go to part-time, or if something happens in your life and you need to take a bit of a break from your studies, the progression and support team are there to have a chat with you about all your different options for progression. If you're an international student, fear not. Despite COVID, our international support and advice team are working really, really hard to support you to figure out what the latest travel advice is, what's going on with visas, and how we can try and make your transition to Middlesex as smooth as possible. Last but not least, our welfare advice and finance teams are there to support you with any kind of financial queries that you may have through your time with us, and that is everything from student finance through to bursaries and government benefits. So hopefully the take home from that slide is just we have a lot of support available here, and hopefully we'll be having some kind of campus elements again as part of our blended approach, so you can meet our therapy dog we have. You can see we've got the picture there just to pique your interest. And so a few useful resources. So that top link there is a summary of everything we've done and sort of put together as a result of COVID-19 in terms of our wellbeing and health resources. So we've brought everything together, and everything new that we've created to support our students is on that one link there. So all those different teams I mentioned on the last page, you can find more information about them on the second link there, the UniHub support link. We have a number of study support teams which I haven't mentioned yet. So on top of your personal tutor, who you'll be assigned when you join with us, and your personal tutor will support you with academic and non-academic queries. We also have a learning enhancement team, we have subject liaison librarians, and we have student learning assistants. And these are all going to be long and confusing words until you come to Middlesex, but in effect it means if you're struggling with an essay, or your course involves some tricky statistics and you're not sure how to go about it, or you want to chat with a student who's completed your course before, they've been there, they've done it, they've got the t-shirt, we have that support available to you. Our sports and recreation team, so they're very happy that the gym on campus reopened last weekend, obviously in COVID secure way. But the sports and recreation team also have a number of virtual resources. So if you're remaining at home this year and studying remotely, the sports and recreation team have all sorts of resources to keep you well. Our Students' Union have a lot of support available. So if you identify as a student who is part of a community, and that community could be a commuter student, if you're Black, if you're female, if you're LGBT, we have communities of students to support you with the unique challenges and experiences which you'll be coming across during your time with us. There's also about 100, I think, societies. So if you're looking to meet new people and connect, as Jack was saying earlier on in the presentation, there's plenty of different opportunities with the Students' Union to do just that. And as Jack mentioned earlier, MDX Works is our support for careers and employment. They can also support with things like writing a CV, good interview skills, what to say, what not to say, all those kinds of things. And again, working remotely at the moment. So make sure you get in touch with them if you need a helping hand with any of that.
Perfect. Thank you all for listening. We will get those links on the last page out to you as well in the follow-up email. A poll has just popped up. If you wouldn't mind answering that, that would be great. And if anyone had any questions at all, please put them in the Q&A or the chat function, and myself and Vanessa will do our best to answer them. Sheila's asked one about the Middlesex email. So you'll get one of them on enrolment, Sheila, so that will be in September once you enroll at Middlesex. And Colin has asked if there's an estimate of the day that we will reopen. So we are still going to be opening in September. It's just going to be a blended learning. So I can't remember what date the first day of term is. I think it's the 3rd or 4th week in September. And yeah, we'll be welcoming students in a sort of smaller groups, a more socially distanced way, to sort of accommodate the blended learning that we're going to be using next year. Any more questions from anyone? Please feel free to use the chat box or the Q&A. So someone's asked, as first year students, when do we need to be on campus? Again, that would depend on your lecture and seminar sort of program for the next year, and it's quite dependent on your course. All of our courses next year are going to have a blended learning approach, which means quite a lot of it will be online, but they'll still have some in person as well. You'll only generally need to be on campus when you have in-person teaching, but you're welcome to be on campus at other times as well to use the library, the sports facilities and things like that. So yeah, it's sort of up to you. It often depends on where you live as well. If you live close to the campus, people tend to make more use of the library as it's easier to get to. But first years, the main time you need to be on campus is just to attend seminars or lectures or workshops and things like that. And yes, Abby, sorry, you'll get your email in September once you've enrolled, and then you'll be able to register for the Middlesex Fika app. So that will be in September for anyone who's enrolling. Any more questions from anyone at all? Someone's asked specifically for their timetable. We can't give out the specifics of every course's timetable in a talk like this, but if you go on the website and go into UniHub, you can use a chat to speak to the admissions department, and they should be able to sort of get you in contact with the school and things like that. Shahid's asked about sports. We have plenty of sports, and they play in the Bucks League, which is the British University League. So if you're really serious about sort of football or rugby or something like that, and you wanted to try and get into the university team, we've got all sorts of teams. I think Vanessa said we had over 100 different sort of teams and societies of people that play different things. So whether it's football or something a bit more niche, we've got plenty of sports. Over the next few weeks, have we got any work or other advice for studying at home? I wouldn't imagine you'd have any specific work to do before enrollment, because generally university sort of starts once you've enrolled. But again, it's probably worth looking if there's any pre-reading that you could be doing before enrolling. Again, this would all be work specific, course specific, sorry. So it's worth checking on the website and seeing if they've got any specific advice for your course there.
And just on that note, Sheila, actually, there's a link I'll pop through on the chat. I hope that will work, which is just a studying at home guide, which we put together to support our students in light of our move to online learning. So I'll dig that out now, and then I'll post it on the chat, and hopefully that will help and give you some pointers before you start with your studies as well.
And Abby's asked, when will we move into halls? So moving into halls again will come around when term starts. So it will be mid to end of September. I don't know the dates. I don't know if you have any idea, Vanessa, at all.
Ooh, I don't know the exact date, but if you drop a line to the accommodation team, again, I'm just going to dig out that link. Let me write a note so I don't forget, and drop them a line, and they'll be able to chat to you about when your contract will start and when the move-in dates are. All right, Abby.
Mercy has asked whether we have to book a place in the library. It's a good question, actually. I'm not sure what the system will be for September, and I think a lot of it depends on what the government advice is going to be in terms of social distancing and in terms of maximum number of people in a room. At the moment, I don't know if it's sort of planned fully for September, but we do know it's going to be open in a safe way where everyone can be appropriately socially distanced.
Yeah, so we're sort of planning for it at the moment, Mercy. It's likely that if you want to use a study space within the library that you'd have to book it, but anybody would be sort of free to come and go, but we'll be making sure that it's all done in a COVID secure way so that you're kept safe when you're on campus.
And when is the online enrollment has just come in? And again, I think that starts from maybe a month before term starts. So you'll be sent an email about this once your place is confirmed, which will probably be around results day. And as soon as your place at Middlesex is confirmed, you'll be sent all the information you need on enrolling. Perfect. And if anyone's got any more questions, please feel free to whack them in. Vanessa's just put the link in the chat function, which you should all be able to see. Perfect. I've got one more question. After holding an unconditional offer, what are the next steps and do you have any deadlines? So if you've been given an unconditional offer, there won't be any deadlines other than you'll have to accept it by the time clearing closes. So you'll have until about around results day to accept or refuse your place. Other than that, as far as I'm aware, I don't think holding an unconditional comes with any other sort of deadlines, other than the ones after you've fully firmed your place. You'll have to then go in and do the enrollment from there. Perfect. And the accommodation email address has gone in there as well. Thank you for that, Vanessa. If we don't, which accommodation hall would you recommend as the best? Vanessa, you might be better to answer that than me.
Good question, Colin. It depends what you're looking for. All halls have their merits. I'd say have a think about location. So if you wanted to be really close to campus, or if you wanted to be a little bit further away. For example, lots of students really like Unite halls. They're very modern, but they are in Wembley. So that's a little bit further from campus compared to the other ones. But they are very modern. So maybe have a think based on your course and how much of your course is going to be on campus and how much is going to be remote, because that will dictate maybe how much time you're going to spend in halls. But I'd recommend just having a little dig around on our website. We've got photos and sort of virtual tours of the different halls, so maybe that will help to make your mind up a little bit.
Perfect. Well, thank you very much, everyone, for coming, and thank you very much for your support today as well, Vanessa. If anyone does have any more questions that come up, please feel free to get on our website. All the sort of information we've given you today is on there, as well as some other useful links, useful email addresses, and we do have the uni chat as well. We can have live chat with current people on courses that you might be studying, or members of staff as well who can help you with your application. And if there's nothing else, we'll leave it there. So thank you very much for attending, everyone. Have a good day. Bye.